going on, guys? It's Nate Styles checking in. Um, I got a follow up from my video I made this morning. I actually forgot that I had a viewing that I did with a different prospective tenant. His name was Cameron. Sorry. I actually forgot about that because what happened was I was actually at the barbershop when he called me to view the apartment. So I actually sent him over to the apartment by himself, gave him the code to the lockbox so he could actually do a walkthrough on his own. I got a copy of his driver's license, the front and back, just to verify that he was who he said he was. Also, so I'd be able to, correspond with him if anything was out of place or went wrong. So anyway, he went to view it, and after he viewed it, he told me that he actually liked what he saw. Told me that he was interested in doing an application. So I had him fill out the application. I sent him the link and the code. Typically, when you do the application, you fill it out and then you have to pay at the end. So he submitted the application. Once I received the application, he was approved. He had some minor traffic infractions, but the HOA doesn't mind that. HOA usually rejects an application if there's a felony or a misdemeanor on your background check, so he didn't have any of those issues. His credit score was a 799, so that was good. He didn't have any past evictions, so that was good. The only problem I saw was his employment. It wasn't 2 times the rent income. He made $2,100. I'm renting the unit out for $1,400. So I called him and I asked him to send me proof of income. Typically, I'll take 60 or 90 days proof of income. He sent me 1 month, but it wasn't even an entire month worth of paying. It was just one payment. Usually, some people get paid twice a month, some people get every week. He only had one payment. He had a deposit from IHOP. He had a deposit from Meineke, I believe, or Midas, and he had a deposit from Uber Eats. So I contacted him and asked him if he could give me a 60-day layout of his proof of income. He told me that he just started the job at IHOP, so he wouldn't be able to do that. So I asked him what were the other deposits, and he let me know the business that I just informed you of. But he then told me that he was a veteran or a retired military. So I asked him if he could send over proof of that, if he could send over any pay stubs or any deposits. He told me that he would. We got off the phone. This happened on Friday. I then sent him a draft of the lease so he could read over the lease, hoping that he would send me the proof of income. Saturday went by, I hadn't heard from him. Sunday went by, I hadn't heard from him. Today I was at work and he texted me. He texted me and told me that he was no longer getting the check from, I would assume, the VA or whatever was in terms of his retirement from the service. He was no longer going to get that check. I thought that was kind of odd because if you are getting it, why would they stop giving it to you unless you were not getting anything at all? So I dug a little deeper and I asked him, if he could provide me anything else regarding the other 3 jobs that he had. He told me that the job at the tire shop was the only deposit he made because he started and then he quit the job as he started, so he only got paid once. He only had the one proof or payment from IHOP. He just started IHOP. So now I'm starting to see a pattern where he can't keep a job long enough to provide me with proof of income. And also I'm starting to feel like he's not telling the truth in a sense of the military income, not being able to prove that. His story keeps changing. He can't give me a consistent basis of income or a consistent story as to why he's not able to provide me with these things. So just to sum it all up, That's one of the issues that I was trying to explain that you can face with people once you're doing your screening. And these are important steps that you want to take, because you don't want to skip through these steps and you get this kind of person into your unit, and they make the first month's payment, the second month, and then the third month he can't keep a job long enough to make the third month. Now he's stuck in there. You're gonna have to do an eviction process. You're gonna have to file the eviction. That's gonna be about $200-300 depending on what state you're in. Then you're gonna have to wait 2, 3, 4 months depending on how many cases they have at the clerk's office. Then you're gonna have to hire an attorney depending on the case. It's just gonna add up to too much money down the road, and you're not even gonna be getting paid while he's in there. So you're in a whole $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for something that you could have nipped in the bud by just running an application, finding out where he works, their credit history, their eviction process, their criminal background. Granted, he didn't have any of those issues, but his proof of income wasn't there. So that was just a follow-up I was doing, because I actually forgot I did several viewings for some tenants, but he was the only one that did an application. But because of the time not hearing from him, I just assumed that he backed out. So I told him that I would need more proof of income than the one bank statement that he sent me, and I haven't heard from him. So I'm just gonna assume that he canceled out. And another thing I've noticed is a lot of people are willing to pay a $70 application fee, hoping that they can barge their way through it. And then, you know, they lose their $75, they waste your time, they waste their time. So these are just things that I'm learning as I go. Granted, I've been doing this for a while. I actually take pride in my screening, because my screening has saved me a lot of headache. This unit that I told you I bought with the tenant in there, he was already there, and he was my biggest headache. I had to file for an eviction, and that cost me about $6,000 with him. He was depositing his money in the registry, so I did get that money at the end of the eviction, but just the headache and the back and forth, the lawyer fees, you know, still having to know that he was in here destroying things, it just becomes a hassle. So one thing you want to do when you're a landlord is you definitely want to do the proper screening, background check. Make sure you use an application that is good enough to give you the answers that you have, in case they're not telling you everything that you need to know. I'll tell you what I use actually in my screening. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I will look it up and I will add it in my next video. So until that next time, I'll holla.